YouTube. As a YouTube host, Mr. Wargaming has been remiss as of late. There are a lot of really solid guys producing some solid content here on the uses and the tubeses. And we've been so dialed into the actual miniature war games that we haven't taken a moment to stop and thank guys for providing the entertainment for me that I've been providing for you. So that's what today's video is going to be all about. A little bit of paying it forward and a little bit of helping you, dear viewer, find new channels that you may not be aware of so you can give them a follow. Take a look down in the description. I know nobody reads those, but when you see some of these guys and when you hear my recommendation, you're probably going to want to do that so that you can go give them a follow if you're not following them already. We are going to start with Rule of Carnage. Those of you who are fans of this game right here, Gaslands, will know the Rule of Carnage as that rule that says whenever you're not sure about whether something is one thing or the other, always pick the thing that does the most damage. Great advice, particularly for a post-apocalyptic vehicular combat game. Now, Rule of Carnage is by Mike Hutchinson. It's a channel that he hosts with a fella named Glenn Ford, and it's a very technical channel. Well, they have two things that they do. One stream is a advertising for Kickstarters for friends, just kind of like new releases, but new releases that are coming out, 2 years after you drop $100. Not that I'm done with Kickstarters, but I'm done with Kickstarters. But if you're not, you might want to give Rule of Carnage a follow. But even if you are not into Kickstarters, I highly recommend giving them a follow because every other episode that they drop is an in-depth, about a 20 to 40 minute conversation about an aspect of miniature wargaming. It might be initiative systems, activation, melee, morale, the 4 M's, and then they really, watching these guys get completely disassemble rule sets and get down deep, elbow deep into the guts of rules, has changed the way I've looked at a number of different aspects of this hobby. If you're just here to read the rules, chuck some dice, move your mice, it's still worth watching. If you really want to understand game design, and it's very impressive, the amount of detail that they have put into designing these games and all of the different angles at which they are looking at various rule systems. Absolutely fascinating discussions, very friendly, very low-key, very approachable. They only have, this is a huge seller. Osprey has sold tons of these. People talk about this game all of the time. It was big enough that they've got a second edition and all kinds of stuff. Mike Hutchinson does the, what's that, that collection they do with all the guys. He's got all kinds of additional rules and campaigns for this. Very popular, and yet they've only got 300 subscribers. That's ridiculous. Come on, guys. That's rookie. You got to pump those up. So Rule of Carnage is my first recommendation, particularly if you are the more cerebral and elite level wargamer that wants to think about games at a higher level. The second channel we're going to talk about is Attention Span Labs by an online bro of mine, Mike DiBaggio. We're planning on putting some special stuff together for later on this year. He does not have any design credits, so here I'm going to show you somewhere maybe right here in the screen. Here's what the logo of his channel looks like. He went viral recently with a video that succinctly expressed the frustration that many people have with the usual antics of G-dubs, and he has since shifted the focus of his channel from the 800-pound gorilla over to the 200-pound gorilla of Warlord Games, and particularly Conflict 47. I think Conflict 47, I think that's Warlord. Isn't that, it's the post-World War II, weird World War II stuff with werewolves and zombies and steam tanks and all that kind of fun stuff. Now, like I said, he doesn't have any war game design credits, but he does have credits. He is a self-published author of superhero stories, and I highly recommend you go follow him because he is a fellow solid science fiction author. Yeah, for those of you that don't know, I dabble. See, this is The Penultimate Men. This is one of the best books you've never read. See, there's Mollison. There's me right there. I'm going to throw a link to this up in the description too. If you want to support the channel, go buy a copy of this. You're not going to regret it. I am. Oh, I don't want to dox anybody there. Signed by my fellow author buddies. Introduction by, who is this by? Introduction by, Misha Burnett. Oh, another solid author. Oh my God. Post-apocalyptic, if you're familiar with the Gamma World game, a lot of fun there. Anyway, Mike DiBaggio, he's the guy I'm talking about. He is a fascinatingly low-key guy, and I don't even play Conflict 47, and I watch all of his videos on it because he has a very engaging style. He also does some videos, kind of inadvertently from time to time, on that intersection of gaming life and family life, and trying to maintain that war game family balance. He doesn't publish very often, but when he does, what he has to say is always worth listening to. Moving on to a smaller channel, Exodite. Here's the Exodite banner or logo or what have you. Now, Exodite, he's into the who's he into? He's into the Dan Mersey games, but he does more Pike and Shot era. He does, and in particular, he's kind of, you can tell from the banner here, he's into the Ottoman Empire, which is, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's a bit weird. It's way outside my bailiwick. I'm generally not a Crusader guy. Crusaders are awesome, but who wants to paint a bunch of Ottomans? I'm just not into it. But he's into it. And again, like Mike DiBaggio, he has an engaging style, and he's one of those guys whose enthusiasm is infectious. He reviews a lot of historical books, and he has helped me come to a greater appreciation for who the Ottomans were, what they did, and how they were able to accomplish so much with what they had to work with. So very good. He's, for me anyway, he's one of those guys that will help you break out of your comfort zone in a way that will make you more comfortable in a different zone. Then we move on to the flyover state guys, and man, boy, they're from somewhere out there in corn country, and I say that with all the love in my heart. Okay, it's not flyover to me. That's the real America. And we're going to start with a feller named Wardrobe, and I really like Wardrobe. He is really, again, but he's a bigger channel than me. So, who am I to say, oh, you should go follow this guy? He's big into the Hex Encounter, and he's really into World War II. I'm not really into World War II. A lot of people are into that, and I get it, right? Because the luminaries of the hobby came about in the 30s and 40s, in this like 60s and 70s, when it was still really fresh in everyone's minds. The scars were still really there, but I mean, look, let's be honest. World War II is 80 years ago, all right? 80 years is the same amount of space between the Civil War and World War II. So we are as far removed from World War II as World War II was from the Civil War. So the world has moved on. I've kind of moved on from World War II, but Wardrobe has not. And one of the things I like about Wardrobe is that he sets things up and he talks you through his thought process and he does the Hex Encounter. And in a more perfect world, I would be playing a lot more Hex Encounter war games because I would have a lot more time to sit down without all those birds screaming at me, without all of the distractions. I would be able to just sit and engage in a little wargaming where I can just think deep thoughts and I can juggle, the hundreds of different variables that are involved. I'd be able to take my time, right? And being one of those guys who's maybe not the smartest cookie in the knife drawer, I need more time to stop and slow down. But I'm not. That's not the situation I'm in. Maybe when I'm older and my hair's a little grayer, God willing grayer and still there, I'll be able to sit down and play those Hex Encounter war games. But since I don't have that luxury right now, I need to get my fix somehow. And Wardrobe is my fixer. Now, Wardrobe also plays Fistful of Lead. Look at them all. Those guys, they peer pressured me into giving this game a shot, and I'm glad they did. Wardrobe plays, I think he plays like in the flesh with the next channel we're going to mention, and that is the Chronicles of Not Jay. You'll remember I was interviewed by Not Jay, the host name. It's actually Chris. Chris he was the first guy to say, hey, why don't you come on the show and we can just chat and talk war games for a while. And it was great. Had a great time. Again, they bullied me into giving this a shot, and I'm glad they did. I'm a better man for it. Those are the kind of friends you want to have, right? The kind of friends that challenge you and push you to be better than you are today. Solid bros. You got to have people that are going to test you. You got to have people that are going to challenge you. That's how you get better at literally everything. And, sometimes it doesn't feel nice, but you got to have guys that are willing to. Oh, you know what else they did? They kind of like shamed me into starting the Naval War Gaming. And that's the big thing with the Chronicles of Not Jay. He's got a heavy focus on the Naval War Games. Here's his banner or whatever. The Naval War Games is something that I had always been intimidated by, and he said, no, you can do this. They did a couple of games, and he does a lot of painting World War II. There we go, World War II. These guys love World War II. It's not my thing, but, he talks about how he paints those tiny little ships, and again, all of the lessons in painting those ships can be applied to any kind of miniatures that you've got. He is very much kind of a fistful of lead show, and again, I recommend it. Because the fact that he talks about Naval War Gaming and is a boon. It's not something that is inside my comfort zone. It's a challenge for me and part of that is because I know so little about it. So by watching his channel, I'm introduced to the vagaries of what makes a good naval war game, what makes a good naval miniature. What are some of the changes that happen? Even from like the 20s to 40s, there were big changes in naval warfare. And he discusses those and discusses the ships and the way that everything changed, from the painting patterns to, fire control to all of that stuff. So it's great. I'm learning all kinds of stuff by watching a channel on topics that, if it wasn't for such an engaging host, I might not be interested in them. But that's the big thing with all of these guys that I'm recommending to you, is that regardless of what the content is, they're interesting to listen to. Very fireside chatty. Very much you're in the car and you're feeling a little lonely, you put them on and they'll keep you company on those long commutes. And so with the last recommendation I'm going to have, it's going to be the guy right here. The myth, the man, the legend, Jay Wiley himself. Jay with an E. Bigger battles. And this is one of the things that Wardrobe did. This is on my list of things to do. Fistful of Lead, largely sticking to 5 to 8 figures. This one, you're bumping up to 5 to 8 clusters of figures, whether it's squads or platoons. I'm not sure. Like I said, I haven't done it yet. But large-scale skirmishes throughout history. And look at that, beyond. Who's that guy look like? He looks all kinds of different things. This is the game I want to play right here. Right? Look at that. Got kind of a HeroScape thing going on there, don't they? So Jay Wiley has a channel as well, Wiley Games, and of course you can go to Wiley-Games to get yourself a copy of these rules. But his channel, he does BSing with the Baron, and one of the things I enjoy about his channel is he will film 4-hour battle reports showing you how the Fistful of Lead can handle 6 to 8 players and still keep the action moving. It is a bit like, hovering over the shoulders of a game at a convention. I tend to watch those in small bites, smaller chunks. And it is, of course, it's a corporate, right? He's got a company. So his focus is largely on trying to convince you to buy these games. And, it turns out I'm recommending you go give Jay Wiley a follow so that he can sell you on these games, so that you'll buy these games, so that he'll want to keep making these games, and then I'll have more games on my to-buy list. There aren't enough of those. I mean, it's a list as long as my arm, and it's the kind of list that will never be complete, because every time I think I got a handle on it, more guys like Jay produce more awesome stuff. It's just like books. There's always guys writing fantastic things to add to your to-read pile. And I make no bones about it. My to read pile will never go away because there's always something good. There's always another fantastic channel to check out here on the Uses and the Tubeses. If you can think of anybody that I forgot, and again, let me just reiterate that this is in no particular order, just kind of a random selection of guys that I think you should be following. Links in the description, and is by no means exhaustive. I'm following like 50 guys. I do focus on some of the smaller channels that you might not be, like, what am I going to tell you? Oh, hey, you should go follow this new upstart called Little Wars TV. Yeah, you know about Little Wars TV. You should go follow Guerrilla Miniatures Games. Yeah, you know about Guerrilla Miniatures Games. These are the guys that ain't getting the follows. They don't have the follows that they deserve. So go give them a follow, and let's make YouTube wargaming great again. Hey, thanks for listening. I'm praying for you.